Welcome back to Catholic Lunch Break here on AM 1430. This is the weekly program where we catch up with all things Catholic in the greater Houston area. This is Wyatt Goolsby, Executive Director of KSHJ, with you. We're always looking for ways to enter into a deeper relationship with Christ, and we are blessed here in the greater Houston area to have so many groups that can help. And one of those groups has a special devotion to Mary. Join us on the program is Gina Waters. She is with the Marian Servants of the Incarnate Wisdom. Gina, thank you so much for taking the time to come here to the KSHJ studios.
Thank you for having me.
For people who are unfamiliar with the Marian Servants of the Incarnate Wisdom, my understanding is that this is for men and women, correct?
Correct. It's a community of men and women, Catholic, and it's a call. We are kind of like a third order, but not exactly.
And so this is made up of lay and clergy members?
Yes, we do. We actually have several priests and deacons and religious sisters who will support our rule of life and come to our meetings, and some of them make promises themselves.
Very good. Well, tell me a little bit more about it, Gina, for people who are unfamiliar. How do you describe the Marian Servants of Incarnate Wisdom to people?
So, we're a community, men, women. We live by a rule of life. So it's kind of like we're a call within a call.
Okay, right.
Okay.
Because we're Catholics, and you have a specific call from there.
That's right. And the call is to the pillars of our rule of life: holiness, obedience, and humble servanthood. And so those who are, serious in their walk with the Lord, or feel like the Lord is calling them to be more serious, are usually attracted to taking another step and deeper in their faith.
That seems like that would involve a lot of prayer, if I'm thinking correctly.
That's correct. It does take a lot of prayer. And so one of our charisms is that we offer spiritual direction.
Okay.
So not all Marian servants are spiritual directors, but about 2/3 of our members have gone through formal training and certification and serve this community here in Houston and others in other dioceses as spiritual directors.
Tell me what it means to you to be a Marian servant.
Gosh.
I know that's a big question because that entails a lot.
It is a big question. It's for me, Wyatt. It's my response to the Lord's love for me. It's as simple as that, and doing so in the model of Mary's servanthood. Okay, of simplicity, of obedience, of detachment, and trusting that the Lord is going to be with me at every point of my life, in all walks of life, in the secular decisions that I have to make, as well as in my own prayer life.
And in some cases, Gina, I think that's easy to say, harder to do, because we live in a secular world where there's so much pressure against us, or things that try to undermine our faith, temptations that are just out there in the world. What would be your advice to people who want to do that, to be a Marian servant in that sense, but are constantly tempted to have issues?
Sure. So the way that I entered into Marian servanthood life is through a Bible study at my parish.
So as simple as that?
Simple as that. A first step was a Bible study. And from there, I was introduced to someone who was a spiritual director. And there was something about that attracted me, and I didn't know quite why, but it's because the Lord had a plan for my life. And so from the Bible study, I started to meet with a spiritual director once a month. And from there, that spiritual director led me through the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius, and I made an election, which is basically the decision that usually is prompted through that 9-month period of prayer, and my election was to become a spiritual director myself, and then a Marian servant, and then start a community in Houston. And
so step by step, didn't rush right into it. Makes sense.
Well, and I think that's something that is very important for everyone to remember, is that the Lord is not asking us to go from day one to day 1,000 overnight, but just to say yes to Him one day at a time, one yes at a time, in trust and obedience.
I love that. You know, Gina, during this Advent season, we've been meditating on the Gospel of Luke. That's many of the readings at Mass have been. And of course, we hear a lot about Mary in the Gospel of Luke. Earlier in this program, I think Father Rick Ariola had made reference to the fact that there's that reference to Mary thinking about all of these things. For example, after the Archangel Gabriel appeared to her. What do you think it is about Mary that's a good example for us to be thinking about when we might read about or hear about her in the gospel that might help us, especially during this time of Advent and soon to be the Christmas season?
Yes. Well, okay. So I'm very excited that you asked me that question because we as Marian Servants make a yearly consecration to Jesus through Our Lady. Okay. And so we follow, this year we followed Father Boniface Hicks' book called The Fruit of Her Womb. Okay. And I guess my answer to your question is that all of us can consider our littleness in the womb of Mary and allowing her to form us in her in the likeness of Jesus.
So, which is so powerful. I'm thinking also about the fact that she's our mother too, and that Jesus kind of commanded us to be thinking about her in that way.
Yeah. He invites us to draw so very close to her and to him within her womb.
Yeah, that's incredible to think about that. Like I said, when you're reading the Gospel of Luke, you can read it pretty quickly, but there's so much there if you slow down and read about the Christmas story. It's incredible to think about all that. Do you have any, Gina, I want to ask you if you have any favorite prayers yourself over the years? Like I said, being a spiritual director, being a member of the Marian Servants of the Incarnate Wisdom, things that you like to just pray on a regular basis.
Well, so my favorite rote prayer is the Memorare.
Okay, yeah.
Right, remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary. It's asking her to intercede and just trusting that she perfects our prayers, because we're fallen, we're human, we're imperfect.
We are, absolutely. Any tips I want to ask you, just because you are a spiritual director, about people who might have strayed from the faith? I want you to invite them back to the church. Maybe people who, like I said, maybe they were raised Catholic but haven't been back in a while. What would be your advice to people who say, well, maybe I'll go back to church, but I'm a little nervous? Tell me what your encouragement would be to them.
Well, so every saint has a past and every sinner has a future, and to trust that the Lord calls and he does the work, and we just have to say yes and not to expect too much of ourselves. Very
good. Marian Servants of the Incarnate Wisdom. Gina, tell me the website for people who want to learn more.
Yes, MarianServantsHouston.org, MarianServantsHouston.org. And we have an upcoming retreat in February that I'd love to invite people to. It's going to be a silent retreat.
Okay.
The title is going to be Love More, Listen Deeper, the next step into the heart of the Father.
Very good. Again, Marian Servants of the Incarnate Wisdom. We'll encourage people. We'll put that on our website as well, on our Facebook page for GRN Houston. Gina Waters, we're running out of time, but thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for listening. We appreciate your joining us here on Catholic Lunch Break. Until next time, stay Catholic, Houston.